Some January 6th facts to weigh alongside Tucker Carlson's new January 6th fantasy. The Justice Department says 1,000 people are facing federal or local charges. Nearly 1/3 of them are charged with assaulting, resisting, or impeding officers or Capitol employees that day. 140 police officers were assaulted when the pro-Trump mob stormed the Capitol that day. Your eyes did not lie when you saw the windows smashed and the barriers breached. Your ears did not deceive you. Hang Mike Pence and Find Nancy were among the outrages we all heard chanted during the assault. But Tucker Carlson now is lying and deceiving his own loyal viewers. Speaker McCarthy, you remember, gave the Fox host exclusive access to thousands of hours of footage.
We're going to begin tonight with footage that shows you what was actually happening inside the Capitol. The footage does not show an insurrection or a riot in progress. Instead, it shows police escorting protesters through the building.
Now, remember, the man you just saw there helped Donald Trump lie that the 2020 election was stolen. He now wants you to believe the anger and the violence we all saw that day was the exception.
The crowd was enormous. A small percentage of them were hooligans. They committed vandalism. You've seen their pictures again and again. But the overwhelming majority weren't. They were peaceful, they were orderly and meek. These were not insurrectionists, they were sightseers.
CNN's Sarah Murray joins our conversation. Sarah, you have spent hours and hours and hours covering the January 6th committee hearings, covering a lot of these cases, making their way through the courts. You know that what he's just said there is fantasy. Before you jump in, I just want to say they have trained people to say, don't believe people like us. How about Republican senators?
There were a lot of people in the Capitol at the time who I think were scared for their lives. So you can, however you want to describe it, but it was an attack on the Capitol.
I think that breaking through glass windows and doors to get into the United States Capitol against the orders of police is a crime.
The point is, what happened that day shouldn't have happened.
Three quite conservative members of the United States Senate essentially saying, no, not true. Why?
Well, because it's not true, because Tucker Carlson is trying to whitewash, what happened on January 6th. He sort of went through, he cherry-picked the moments in this video where, they were not showing the violence that was unfolding. It was not showing rioters who were attacking police. It was not showing the moments that Brian Sicknick, who we know lost his life the next day, was being tear-gassed and then trying to recover from being attacked by rioters. He chose not to play those moments. He chose to play some of these moments of relative calm. I think that's why we're seeing, this pushback from Republican senators. That's why we saw outrage today from the head of U.S. Capitol Police. That's why we are seeing, very reasonable outrage from the Sicknick family after what Tucker Carlson tried to do last night.
And if you watch Tucker Carlson, again, he tried to help Donald Trump convince the country the election was stolen when it was not. He dabbles in conspiracy quite a bit. Last night, he was talking about the QAnon shaman who was charged. We'll get to the charges in just a minute. Tucker Carlson says he was just a featured guest.
The Capitol Police never stopped Jacob Chansley. They helped him. They acted as his tour guides. We counted at least 9 officers who were within touching distance of unarmed Jacob Chansley. Not one of them even tried to slow him down. Chansley understood that Capitol Police were his allies.
That is Tucker Carlson's take. Capitol Police have testified, many of them said they were just grossly outnumbered and they were not going to pick and choose who they were going to have confrontations with. But there's also other video of the shaman, Mr. Chansley, going through the Capitol. You see him there as part of the initial breach. Then you see him later in the Senate chamber where he's up on the dais as if he's a member of the United States Senate. He is serving a 41-month sentence. He was one of the first rioters in the building. He asked Trump for a pardon. Tourists don't ask for pardons, I don't think. He was left a note on the Senate dais saying it's only a matter of time. Justice is coming. And he yelled as he went through the Capitol, Mike Pence is an effing traitor. Just a tourist?
Clearly not. And I mean, what's striking to me actually is that Tucker Carlson and his team had exclusive access to these thousands and thousands of hours of tape and didn't actually find, or at least they didn't show anything that really does change our understanding of what happened that day. You see video of the QAnon shaman and others sort of milling through the hallways, but we don't know what the key moments were before and after that. And until they release the video to the rest of the media, we won't know. Sources that we've talked to at the Times say that there isn't really a lot that counters that narrative at all. And as Tucker said on his own show, most of it is really not that revealing. What is quite revealing, though, is aside from the senators whose the video you played on the Republican side, the House Republicans are very much rallying around this. The House Republican Conference tweeted this video of Tucker Carlson's segment today saying, must watch. This is a rewriting of history that is being embraced by the Republican Party, even if there are some senators within the party who are willing to say that.
130 something of those House Republicans, even after the attack on the Capitol, tried to block the certification of the Electoral College. So they want to rewrite, whitewash, wipe away, minimize the history of that day. You mentioned Officer Sicknick. I feel nervous doing this. I don't like to do this. I don't like to put families back through the pain they have suffered every time they see this video. But here is Tucker Carlson's take on Officer Sicknick.
By all appearances, Sicknick is healthy and vigorous. He's wearing a helmet, so it's hard to imagine he was killed by a head injury. Whatever happened to Brian Sicknick was very obviously not the result of violence he suffered at the entrance to the Capitol.
Now we can show you some video of Officer Sicknick outside the Capitol where he was pepper sprayed, or bear sprayed as they call it, when he was trying there to hold the line before the line collapsed. Yes, he went inside and he may have cleaned up and he may have gotten the sting out of his eyes, but he died the next day. The medical examiner says it was of natural causes, that he suffered a couple of strokes, but he died the very next day. And his family says the Sicknick family is outraged. The ongoing attack on our family by the unscrupulous and outright sleazy so-called news network of Fox News, who will do the bidding of Trump or any of his sycophant followers. Every time the pain that day seems to have ebbed a bit, organizations like Fox rip our wounds wide open again, and we are frankly sick of it.
Yeah, I mean, it's horrible for that family. It's horrible for the officers who had to live through that, to see this and this attempt to erase what they had to go through. The pain, the fear, the trauma of having to hold off that mob. They were vastly outnumbered. That's why you see them sort of seeming to kind of have hands off with some of the folks who were there. But listen, this is exactly what Kevin McCarthy wanted. He wants this kind of rewritten. He wants it downplayed. And you see Donald Trump coming out saying, because of Tucker Carlson's lies about this, that everyone should be freed who has been detained due to January 6th.
And again, to the Sicknick family and others, I don't lightly re-air that video. We just think it is necessary to put the whitewash that you're seeing into factual context.